From the 774 local government areas we have in Nigeria, we are zeroing our attention on the 18 local government in those states, and of course, how it has fared under Senator Mondo Okpebholo as the governor of Edo State in 1 year. And we will be joined by a one-time former SA to the governor of Edo State on youth affairs, and of course also former SSA to the governor on political affairs of Edo State. And he is a political analyst, Shedrack Udugbai. Big thanks for joining.
Good morning, Philip Okpebholo, and good morning, my good people of Nigeria. It's a pleasure being here.
All right, also joining us via Zoom from the United States, Texas, Houston, is Ahmed Mamadou. Good morning, Ahmed.
Good morning, Philip. Good morning, local man. Good morning, viewers. Thank you for inviting me to discuss on this issue.
Well, like you always say, politics is local, and so we have the local man to handle that. Yeah, so we will also be joined in a short while by Dennis Oyomere, who will also be taking part in this discussion. But quickly, let's look at how the local governments, have been breathing. We have 774 local governments, and of course, out of that, we have 18 in Edo State. We usually, when I was growing up, believed that, local governments are supposed to be the closest to the people. Yes. But somehow, in the course of what we've experienced and witnessed about governance, we seem to have just a 2-tier and not a 3-tier. Yeah. The local government seems to be depleted. But let's look at, as others have said it, that in the course of Senator Mondo Okpebholo's intervention, in the local government space, there seemed to be some breather. There seemed to be, some autonomy. There seemed to be some level of, a top tier fact in Edo State. Do you feel that?
No, not necessarily. The local government to a large extent has been the government alleged to be closest to the people, the top tier of government. That because it's closer to the people, it's expected to be more responsive. So when something is happening, it's easier for the local government chairman and the apparatus to deploy solution and succor to the Nigerian people. But scholars have evaluated that in this Fourth Republic, that the local government has grossly underperformed, that there have been some maladministration across board, and they said it to be structural and financial problems across the local government. Some have even agitated that in this Fourth Republic, it should be scrapped out, actually scrapped out. Let's just have a 2-tier government, the federal and the state, and let the state governor appoint an administrator. Let it be let us see it for what it is and not what it ought to be. Because as a government, they ought to operate under the dictates of their constituents. That's what defines a government. In every democratic setting, once you are a government, you listen to the yearnings and aspirations and you respond to the people and not to your superior, because as a government, you are said to be independent and not to have a superior. But what we have in across Nigeria, not just Edo State in particular, is a system of government whereby it's like the governor appoints a commissioner to be a local government chairman, and he does his bidding. Both his financial, there's what called financial and political independence is totally absent, and that's why these calls have been ongoing for long. And it was also good when Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into office and he picked up the mantle to say yes, we should give them some form of autonomy. They should be fully autonomy, political and administrative autonomy, whereby they can do what they like as they want. Then secondly, financial autonomy, because a double-pronged approach, whereby their finances cannot be deployed, given to them directly to be deployed for the well-being and good of people, so that the people cannot effectively hold them accountable for the resources that we've gotten for the federal allocation. So that's what Bola Ahmed Tinubu did. And all of those things preceded Mondo Okpebholo. But when Mondo Okpebholo came on board, we saw something very, very different from what we had expected.
Oh, well, we're going to be looking at what you are seeing as different. But let's get your intervention on it, Ahmed. Let's see how you perceive of it. Though you are not local here, just make an attempt, because some have said, well, local government, under Senator Mondo Okpebholo seems to be different as compared to the previous administration of Governor Obaseki, although this is not a way to juxtapose. But let's just get your interventions on this.
Thank you again, Philip. I'm an international looker. Let me place it that way. So what we need to understand is, what is the fundamental function of the local government? That's supposed to be the one that is closest to the people. It's supposed to be the one at the first tier, the forefront of providing the dividends of democracy. And standing on what local man has said, let us understand that not only is local government supposed to represent the sum of every administration, it's supposed to be the first tier of action whenever there's any kind of problem in a community. So, but what do we have currently? We have local governments that are not only detached from the people that they are supposed to serve, but they report to people that are outside of their own sphere of influence. You have a situation where the local governments are simply appendages of the state government. But I do not agree that it is time to scrap it. Understanding what APC has done on the national level, particularly in the third level of government, that's the local government. They've provided a situation where the local governments are not more autonomous financially and administratively. It's going to take some time to see some of these things play out. But we've come to a point where we've passed the Rubicon. It's not possible to go back to where there was so much maladministration. We need to look forward and engage on what currently applies. It may not be the ideal situation, but it's the best situation that we currently have. We have financial autonomy, we have administrative autonomy, and now we are going to look for the best kind of people to man and push forward those developments. If we have a situation where the local government is completely autonomous, of course, we are going to be able to hold them to account, and then development is going to come from the grassroots as is envisaged by Constitution.
I like the way you put it when you said what the APC has done at the national level, most especially that signals a whole lot when the president, did all he did to make sure that there is a financial and, of course, administrative autonomy. But yes, you were saying something before I posed the question to Ahmed. You were saying that something is different about
very
the way
different
it is in Edo State.
We'll take it on.
But let's see what the president has done, in respect of clamoring and, of course, putting it on paper and stamping it that there should be financial autonomy.
Yes.
Don't you see a Senator Monday Okpebholo as governor of Edo State doing that to make sure that
I want to be holistic in this approach.
Stricto sensu.
I will give you a deep analysis about the political administrative autonomy, and I also take you through the financial autonomy. Maybe when I finish on political, we'll go back to the financial.
All right.
For political autonomy, when you call political autonomy, that means they have the will to do as they please. When Monday Okpebholo came into office in November 12th, he saw already well-constituted and running local government structure across the 18 local governments of Edo State. What he did was to first quickly allege that there was misappropriation of resources. He called them, he didn't invite them, there was no public hearing. Just as he alleged, he said they should bring their account. They submitted their account. The day after they submitted their account, using the instrumentality of the State House of Assembly, they issued a 2-month suspension. They suspended all 18 local government chairmen, said they wanted to do proper investigation on those details. While that investigation was ongoing, the thing raised, because people have seen it, the scholars across Nigeria have seen it, that suspension was illegal. It is against the spirit of the political and administrative autonomy that has been granted to local government by the federal government led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's against the spirit, against the will. It was so bad that Lateef Fagbemi, who is the Attorney General of the president, came out and spoke, rebuking the actions of Monday Okpebholo, that these things you are doing are totally not, is executive rascality. It's not in tandem with the spirit of the Nigerian constitution, which has given full autonomy to local government. To say that you cannot, no state governor, no federal government, no state house of assembly can usurp or suspend a duly elected local government chairman, except the local government councils that has been held by the councillors in the respective local government. As if that was a green light, Monday Okpebholo just took it up with immediate alacrity and started engaging in the usurping or perhaps the kangaroo impeachment of all local governments. I dare say Monday Okpebholo, I'll give you analysis. On West local government, my own local government was the first local government that this kangaroo impeachment took place. What happened was that we saw that the state government brought in some of their officials. The chief of staff to the Edo State government, Gani Audu, was visibly present in Afusi the day that kangaroo impeachment came out. They were able to bring together about 6 out of the 8 lawmakers. They took them to the House of Assembly. They were military cover, they were police cover. So a notable APC chieftain were there, and they carried out a kangaroo impeachment, impeaching the local government chairman, the then local government chairman, Kadiri Aminu, and his vice, Clement Ojebowo, and immediately appointed a councillor from Ward 10, Wane Haruna, making him the acting local government chairman. And immediately after they did that kangaroo arrangement, they took that boy, the Haruna, the acting local chairman, to government house in Edo State, and the boy took a picture with Monday Okpebholo on the same day. That will tell you that what they did was in tandem with what Monday Okpebholo has instructed. And that was how that kangaroo impeachment ran across all 18 local governments of Edo State. And in some local governments, it was marred with force and resistance. There was blood, there was bullet, there was gunshot. Bloodshed and bullets were flying into the air. In Eastern West, it was very bloody. In Eastern North, it was very bloody. In some local governments, the councillors were so loyal to the extent that they couldn't even find more than 1 or 2 that was willing and ready to engage in that impeachment arrangement to kick out the local government chairman. For example, in Isako West, there was about one. What they had in Isako West, there was no councillor. In Orion 1, in Oredo. What they had in Okpebholo, what they did in Isako West was to go and look for some Okada riders front of the Auchi Polytechnic. And they brought those Okada riders into the holo chamber. And many of them sat back in the camera. And they said, oh, we are removing the local chairman. Say, they are. Say, the Nagzik Boa. Their faces were not shown. They couldn't even respond properly like persons were educated.
Okay.
And they kicked out the local chairman. That was because they had noticed. They said, okay, it was because they said that the local government, the state house assembly cannot, because those ones acted the pure rascality. What happened after that was that they said, okay, the 2 months, they did that within that 2 months of investigation, they kicked all of them out. 2 months has expired. Let these people be restated. It became another ball game. They said no, that this IT chairman will remain here. And the House of Assembly, whom had previously said under another suspension, refused to carry out any form of investigation, and they became a criminal. Okay. After that 2 months, the whole thing lingered on for long. The chairman went to court. They had 2 restraining orders, restraining them from being impeached and restating them. Monday Okpebholo blandly refused to obey that court order. They proceeded. They took those cases to court, they challenged, and today over like 10 of them have gotten victory. It was a declarative order saying this local government chairman were unduly usurped and kicked out of office. They should be restated. And till today, Monday Okpebholo has not obeyed that court order because they pick and choose. I don't say government pick and choose which court order to obey. The court order that came out from Kabaka's hotel that was destroyed, Monday Okpebholo chose to pay that man 900 million for a man who built his house, a hotel on government property as alleged. The case was not in court. He got judgment in the High Court. APC government came over and refused to appeal, and they said they must obey court judgment. They went to give that man 900 million of our taxpayer money, your money and my money that we suffer to pay for this government. They gave it to one man, 900 million. And that's it. What was the excuse? They said they were simply obeying court order. But all the court order that prevented them from doing the right thing, prevented them from doing the wrong thing, the court order that enthroned the rule of law, the international best practices, and the tenets of democracy, they have flagrantly disobeyed every one of them. Even the Kagaro election they had, they had 2 restraining orders, one from the industrial court and one from the High Court, restraining them. And even the EDSEC official acknowledged the acknowledgement or order, the court order from the declaration order from the court. But yet, they proceed in error. They proceed in illegality because they pick and choose who to obey. As long as it festers their interest, it empowers them, it embodies them, it brings in some of their cronies and surrogates to power to harvest and to bite on the dividends of democracy. All right. They have nothing to say. No, we proceed in illegality.
No doubt you have a thing for the governor. I don't know if it's positive or negative, but I know basically it will also help for viral opposition. You made mention of a lot, but you forgot to make mention of the fact that the governor gave them an ample opportunity, to peruse their books, which they refuse to submit, for public scrutiny. Don't forget that in governance, even an elected office, a political office, it's not a personal office. And it's expected that whatever you do, you give account. And we celebrated it at the media when the governor started it, that this is an opportunity for us to see how, the third tier, starting with the third tier, how they can give account of what they've done in the course of the duration that they've spent in office. But I will ask you that question after this short break. Thank you for being there. Edo Local Government Administration assessing performance under Senator Monday Okpebholo as the governor of Edo State is what we are about. And while we had a break, we were opportunity to be joined by a political analyst, of course, in the person of Osaro Dennis Oyomari.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
Good morning.
All right. I hope you didn't have it hard. Finding your way down to the studio.
No, we know we are witnessing some new constructions along the Benin Sapero. So those were some of the issues I came with.
Okay, a new construction.
Okpebholo is working very well to maintain those bad roads along the Sapero that was being abandoned by the past administration.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Abandoned by the past administration.
Yes.
All right, that's fine. But let's get your thoughts about this local government administration so far. 1 year in office of Senator Monday Okpebholo as governor of Edo State. Some have said that local government administration are really not fared well.
Okay.
So what's your bite on that?
First of all, I totally disagree with that notion, because now when you look at the way the local government administration of Edo State is going simultaneously now, you see the magnificent increase in what Senator Monday has put in place in terms of financial allocation, in terms of carrying along the local government administration to give the dividends of democracy to the people in the local level. Take for example, in the 18 local government of Edo State today, each of these local governments that have been awarded a school of construction. That's to say, all local governments in Edo State, they are ongoing school construction in any of these local governments. And secondly, there are also health facilities being provided to each and one of these local governments in Edo State in Senator Monday Okpebholo administration. So when you talk about lack of the inefficiency of Senator Monday Okpebholo in administration or in local government administration, that's totally lie. And I feel those are the shine syndrome of Monday Okpebholo affecting the opposition parties.
But how do you see the removal of the former local government bosses that were elected?
Now, when you talk about the removal, First of all, the removal of the local government, those past local government chairman, there's a fact that backed it up. Now, what was the fact? Okpebholo, as at November 16, petitioned those local government chairman for gross misconduct and financial misappropriation to the House of Assembly. As at November 17, 2024, the House of Assembly took out their legislative duty by suspending them for 2 months in order for them to go after investigative process. Now, you can't be a chairman and undergoing an investigative process. Now, after the suspension for 2 months, each of, according to the section 20B and 20C, gave this right unanimously to the House of Assembly to suspend any chairman be petitioned by the governor. So now, after this suspension followed up, the next in Kadia was the legislative leaders, which were having their own due process in impeaching this chairman who was found guilty of financial misconduct. So now, this process were being backed up by law. And Okpebholo is an accountable leader, which will not want this local government chairman to work or embezzle those state money. After all, my brother is here.
How do we not believe that this was like a script being acted out?
No, it wasn't a script.
Actually, it was like a political witch.
No, not a
and also an opportunity to grab, what comes to the top tier.
No, Okpebholo is not even interested in what comes at the third tier. Now, what Okpebholo is interested is accountability, and that was what the past local government chairman failed to give to Okpebholo and the State of Assembly. That's why they were being suspended for the period of 2 months before the legislative house of each of these local government finding it fit to suspend this local government chairman.
Okay, let's get to you, Ahmed Mamadou. Let's get your reaction, because we understand like where you are. Basically, they follow due process, rule of law. Some have said that the removal of the former local government bosses, by that act that transpired, even to a point where they were impeached, seems to be like a political witch hunt.
To every problem, there has to be a solution, whether it's a political solution, a legal solution, or a man-made solution. If you recall, Goodluck Jonathan was made president by an act of necessity of the National Assembly. What does this mean? When leaders refuse to be accountable to the people who put them in office, in this case, it was even a dubious election because these men were simply allocated offices by the outgoing administration of Godwin Obaseki. When they were now called to come and account for the monies, our patrimony, our collective patrimony, where were the money spent, what has been done with it, and how has it been allocated? They refused to abide by the basic norm of any democratic engagement, which is accountability for public funds. And so when they were called to question and they failed to address the issue appropriately, there must be a remedy. And the remedy was to ask them to stand aside and be investigated. Following which the investigation was concluded and they were asked to permanently step aside and other people were asked to take their place. So look, there are a lot of allegations about what has happened and how it could have happened better. But at the end of the day, when there is a lack of proper accountability, it's the people that suffer. There were allegations that these outgone local government chairmen were simply conduits to the administration of Godwin Obaseki, funneling money monthly towards that administration. All these things, they refuse to come out and defend themselves. So look, we know that there was a problem, the solution was found. The important thing and the most important takeaway is that the people must continue to be served, and they must be served by democratic governance.
Thank you. Well, let's get your reactions in all of this, Shedrack.
Yes. When you want to kill a dog, you first of all give it a bad name. When he brought his antecedents of what has transpired within the Monday Okpebholo administration and how he aided and abetted the illegality that kicked out the local government chairman, the first thing I want to point out is the rule of the State House of Assembly. Because when the whole thing caught fire and national interest, Monday Okpebholo quickly hid in the fact that he was not the one that suspended the local government chairman, it was the State House of Assembly. And that State House of Assembly, I've come to know it to be very weak and very, very dysfunctional, inherently not unable to meet the needs and aspirations of the people. I usually call them pepper soup House of Assembly, the State House of Assembly in particular, because when it even comes to the issue of political legislative oversight, since they've been in government, they've not seen one thing that Monday Okpebholo has done that is wrong. Legislative oversight is permanently comatose. So as I said most times, the discussions they have in the State House of Assembly and the one those markets we may have in Siloko Road, those people that sell goods along that Joshua Olia market, what exactly is the difference between those discussions? Because both of them are watery and pedestrian, and none of them have any impact on good governance. I don't say this to discredit all members in self-assembly. There are a few of them who, to a large extent, have owned their onions and they have their capacity to show the strength that they have what it takes to be legislator. Maybe someone like say Honorable Charity Godala Gubareka. That's one man that can be legislator anywhere in the world. And there are a few of them like that. But the majority of those members of self-assembly, they serve their stomach and their interests and not the interests of their constituents who have brought them there. When they said that the State House of Assembly suspended them for gross misconduct or financial misappropriation of resources, which committee was set up? They suspended them. Now, after 2 weeks, they started this illegal implication. There was never a time they sat down. Even some of the House of Assembly members said you cannot suspend a person on the basis of an allegation written by the governor without fair hearing. These people must be called to office, they must be called to investigate, they must be called to answer before the suspension. They must see some proof before the suspension will take place. But this House of Assembly was not interested because they wanted to do the bidding of Okpebholo, who perhaps they felt that will be needed to further their own political interest for a second term or perhaps a continuous stay in office. Let me give you the facts. You know, when they talk about financial, I know the figures, I know the details, because I was inside government. As at September 2024, allocation that was coming into Edo State for local government allocation was about 10,159 million. As at last month, September 2025, the allocation that came into Edo State for the 18 local government was 20,315 million. That's to say, allocation has increased. They are doubled from September 2024 to September 2025, allocation to local government are doubled. What is to say that all local governments who have received allocations, they are almost twice the size. Because money was collected from me, from you, from all the people in the state by fuel subsidy, removal of fuel subsidy, removal of education tariff, increase of telecommunication. When I make on now, they charge me more because government is collecting money from the citizens, the plebeians, the commoners, the takalawas, and they are raking it in and sharing it for the federal government, the state government, and the local government. But the local government here in Edo State, they are not seeing a penny. I'll give you an illustration. For example, let's take the local government. Orange local government is one of the most cosmopolitan local governments in Edo State, and it's easy for everybody to access. Orange local government as of September 2024, the money they received was 488 million. September 2024, go and verify. These are figures I'm throwing out. 488 million. And the money, guess how much they received this last September, this last allocation that came, September 2025. Orange local government received 832 million. That's almost a 2 times increase. Already the local government has some statutory, they call them recurrent expenditure. Money they pay out every month. They pay for the salaries of primary healthcare workers, which is about 21 million. They pay for traditional rulers, which is about 22 million. They pay the local government legislators, their arrears and their pensions and interest. That was about 30 million. They pay for contributory pension scheme. That's about 77 million. They pay suburb teachers in Orange government. That's about 83 million. They have these statutory allocations they pay. If you put this in the current expenditure together, it's about 331 million. If you remove 331 million from the money they used to receive before, as at September 2024, which was 488 million, you see that they have an excess of 157 million. That 157 million was the money that was now available for capital development and infrastructural growth and development for the 500,000 people of already local government. As at today, money they are receiving is 800, and the one they received last month, I'm not missing it, 832 million for all local government. Their recurrent expenditure has not increased. It's still around the range of 331 million, as it used to be as of last year. If you subtract 331 million from the 832 million, they have an excess of 501 million as of last month. Go and ask that Gabros that is there, the illegal Gabros, that the APC people put there to superintend over the affair. That guy did not see more than 20 million. They were giving the statutory 331 million to pay their workers and the SSs. The other one, 501 million, that is needed to build schools, engage in infrastructure development. And when the Okpebholo and the Edo State government has cornered, they are the one now misappropriating and siphoning Edo State resources, cornering it. And that money has not gone. What that guy says is not up to 20 million. When they talk about management, let them say Sherakudu buy your line and let them break out the facts and the details. This is what I have said. Is the Edo State government, they are depriving the people of the local government at different levels from accessing good governance and the resources available to them for creating of change. Let me quickly
cut in that, while you make your statements or allegations, be careful not to, damage any personality.
I say it's the Edo State government.
Mention of the local government boss of Oredo as an illegal.
No, the election at Bread Office is purely illegal, and I have facts. We'll discuss that too.
Okay, but I want you to just be objective and don't go personal.
No, it's not personal. The man is a local government chairman.
I admire the way you reeled out the figures.
I know these things.
And it raises curiosity. But let's also don't forget that this also happened at the time of Godwin Obaseki that you served.
Okay, Godwin Obaseki's time. If you subtract, like I said, is the money available? for the local government, for example, what was available for them for capital infrastructure was about 157 billion, 457 million I spoke of. Oh, you know the local at that time, they constructed materials. It is still up to a year plus, about a year plus. The other local government chairman, Tom Obaseki, awarded 3 roads. If you go to, there's a road called Azama Road, off Wire Road in Ward 5, already Ward 5. That road, it remains one of the best trunk-C road in Edo State, Benin City. It was tied by the local government. It is the issue of market. When the market got burnt and they said it took almost a while, Obaseki, why did Obaseki take so long for it to fix the market that was burnt? It was because Gordon Obaseki knew that in a line with the tiers of government, that market was under the purview of the local government. And he said the local government should put resources together to fix the market because it's under the purview.
Okay.
The local government had to gather.
I just gave you that time to react, not necessarily for you.
No, I want to explain clearly where the resources were going to and how functional and effective the local government were. The project they were going in, were putting their resources into that made meaningful impact on people. Today, the ones they have there, this 1 year they've done, there's nothing to show. When the allocation comes, they just give them something extra to share for themselves and their leaders. And the other ones is used to print Tinubu cap.
All right, react to that.
Now, you see, this what he has said, those are political fallacies. Now, when you...
No. What about the figures?
No, the figures...
All right. The figures are right.
The figures are not right. That's why I said they are political fallacies, propaganda fallacies. He's trying to... I'll get there. I'll get there.
Points
now,
first of
all, let me make a very clear stand that he's trying to divert for the reason behind that suspension. Are you trying to say these local chairmen were not corrupt? What was the reason behind the suspension? What was the reason behind local government? What was the reason behind House of Assembly suspending those local chairmen? Is it not in the act of gross misconduct and financial misappropriation? That was one. And now, under the past administration...
The present one, are they holy?
The past one, I mean the past chairman.
No, the present one, are they holy?
They just got elected.
You mentioned of corrupt
they just got elected.
There was anti-chairman before. No, they got elected.
And they are barely 6 months. And they are barely 6 months in office. So, for you to rate these local government chairmen who are barely 6 months in office, to compare local government chairmen that have spent 2 years in terms of achievement, that is failure on the part of the past administration. You can't use a baby of 6 months to compare a baby of 2 years.
So it's expected that they also give account.
They also give account when the time comes, they also give what an account of how this local government finance are being spent.
The media will be watching.
Now the media will be watching. Of course, now when you make mention of local government, make mention of the current local government allocation coming to various local government in Edo State, I think that's a praise on Governor Okpebholo's part.
On the increase.
Yes, on the increase.
Federal allocation is not an allocation, it's federal allocation. But the problem is
allegedly that most of these local government chairmen were paying money of the local government allocation to state local government coffers to do what? Those were the reason behind the suspension.
Don't forget it's federal allocation anyways.
But controlled by the state government. Allegedly controlled by the state government under the previous administration.
Do you really see financial autonomy under Senator Governor Okpebholo?
Yes, of course.
Do you see financial autonomy for the local government?
Yes, of course.
It's just a script that seems mystical.
No, it's not a script. My local government, for example, is an example. Is a very, very clear example of Governor Okpebholo financial support and financial strength to local government.
For the
past years, yes.
Or for the past years,
my local government was being dilapidated. But since the inception of Governor Okpebholo, you can go to one of the local government as a case study. The renovation is there. The what's it called? Solar system is there. Staff bus is there. Increase in staff and staff empowerment. So now with all of this, it is because of the increase in local government fiscal allocation and the independence of local government chairman, those active chairmen, to be able to control the total resources.
Are you saying it reflects on infrastructural development?
Of course. Go to Azagba. Go to Azagba community. You see local government erecting primary school structure from the very foundation to the roof. Go to other communities.
Haven't we had that?
Go to other communities.
Haven't we had that? Is that all about what the increase should speak for?
No, the increase should speak on farm hectares. And I can give you very quickly some of these criteria that these locations have moved on to health and what's it called agriculture.
All right.
As at I think 6 months ago when I was in council, the local government was able to sponsor agricultural training across the 10 wards in the local government, picking individuals who are interested in agricultural resources and agricultural development across the 10 wards.
I'll come back with a question for you because you were in council then. Yes. I will come back with a question for you. Let's get your thoughts. Ahmed Momodu, look, going forward, what do you see as what Senator Okpebholo should do? In terms of making sure that there's a clear-cut, as what the president also instituted, there's a clear-cut financial autonomy where the state shouldn't be seen as, teleguiding the finances of the local government.
Well, unlike the previous administration that was referred to as the the Hitler of Dubai, Omonuba Okpebholo, the Oba of Benin. We now have an administration that is interested not just in the well-being of the citizens, but in their financial well-being, in their accountability. We now have a student, a servant governor. And what has he done? He has instituted thorough accountability in all levels of government, starting from subnational to the local government level. And like the other speaker rightly pointed out, when it comes time it goes around, what goes around must come around. There's going to be a time for them to come out and give us the information, give us a breakdown of what they've earned and how they've spent it. And these are times that we need to remind these people that that time is coming and we are looking forward to it eagerly. We need to know what you've earned, what you've spent it on, what your priorities are, and moving forward, where these monies are going to be directed at. Let me highlight that among some of the gains of this last administration is not just the synergy. The other speaker was talking about how the State House of Assembly is a rubber stamp. No, just because you are a separate arm of government doesn't mean you must be at loggerheads. Because we had a past administration that didn't have a State House of Assembly for 4 years, and that administration turned himself not just to a lawless person, but someone, a complete vagabond in office. Now we have an administration that respects the separation of powers and is constantly discussing with all of them how to better the lot of the Edo people. That must never be seen as a weakness. That must be seen as a sign of a leader that is embracing all aspects of leadership to make sure that the dividends of democracy are properly spread out to the people. Now, also, we have to look at how this relationship between the state government and the local government strengthens some arms of the democratic practice. If you have constant attrition between these two arms of government, the people that suffer are the people that are supposed to benefit from the dividends of democracy. And the state governor, Monday Okpebholo, has made it very clear that he's prepared to work with anybody to make sure that the dividends of democracy get to the people. Just a few days ago, you saw where they launched 30 tractors. Now we are going to turn Edo State into an agricultural El Dorado. Each of those tractors, 10 is going to be given to each senatorial district. And you can imagine the kind of progress that is going to happen. If you did not have a governor that was comfortable working with the local government authorities, he would not be able to put those kind of funds and deploy those kind of resources. So there are things that need to be done. Most of all is accountability. Anybody that is not ready to be accountable for the money that comes to them and how they spend it, they should step aside and let us move on. Edo is more important than anybody else.
Okay, what should Edo people expect in terms of the policies at the local level, looking at the present administration? Do you see respite coming?
No, I do not see respite. There mean gross instability across the local government, 30 of government when Okpebholo came.
Okay.
Okpebholo has done 1 year, and some local governments have had 3 local government chairmen in this 1 year. He sacked one, he sacked them, brought in one from Arctic Councillor, where he served. They didn't do up to 10 months. You were kicked out of office, and then they brought another one now to Nabiat. So I don't know how people talk about political, administrative, political autonomy, where 3 local government chairmen have sat in one seat for 3 years. When the Okpebholo keeps changing them until he gets the one that is willing and ready to do his bidding, to join him to misappropriate resources. Is he spoke about, there is my man, so I want to attack him at a personal level. Because he spoke about the issue of the local government autonomy, that the suspension that took place. When the Attorney General of the Federation came out in public domain to say the suspension is illegal, you see coming on air to say the suspension was illegal. There was no committee that was set up to say, go and investigate what this local government chairman did. The House of Assembly never sat down one day after that illegal suspension to look into what these people had done. Just after they said the suspension was illegal, it was widely acknowledged. They quickly ran behind but to start impeaching people, carrying kangaroo impeachment around. We see what the Okpebholo is doing at that level. But what I want to state clearly is that we have come to a point, a crescendo in this issue, whereby many of these local chairmen has gone to court, and many of them have received what called declarative judgments to say that they should be reinstated. Many of them are often say written to the Inspector Police to reinstate this chairman back in the place that they were duly elected, and that suspension was purely legal. Even the election that took place some days ago, where the State of Assembly erroneously did also declared 60 seats vacant, and they came out one Saturday to do one concocted or purported election that brought a few other persons, which they now also used to replace his Oga that kicked him out of the House of Assembly. That one is also illegal because there were 2 court injunctions that restrained them from proceeding with the election. But Monday Okpebholo proceeded. We have taken this issue to court and we have gotten our judgment. What we are doing now, in no distant time, we will write to the IGP to arrest all those illegal chairmen. who are imposing at the respective local government, siphoning our resources in Edo State, ensuring that the money that is meant for the people is not there. Go out already though. Does that place look like where they see 500 million to work every single month? He's making all this. I don't want to. Let me leave him alone. The question of the real onus is that we are going to take action. You know, this time our party will be coming out and making a strong stand. Those local governments shall not stand. When the Okpebholo cannot eat state resources, and those state government cannot finish spending their own state resources in a way and manner they choose, and still go forward to collect local government resources because they have their cronies and surrogates there. We will resist it. We will take all costs. We will write to the ICPC, we will write to the FCC. We will get them arrested. We will get them kicked out of office. We will resist every form of opposition that will deprive the people from getting the 30 of government, the impact of democracy at the third level.
Election is coming July 2026.
That's the local government election. That one is, we have to address what we are now, because before now till then, money that have been siphoned, I said 20 billion is coming to Edo State every single month for local government administration. That money does not touch the floor. It hangs in the air and is being used to sow Tinubu cap among themselves. Is it not a shame that across the 36 states of Nigeria, it's only Edo State that has built secretariat or organized secretariat for Tinubu's election? Even Tinubu himself does not have a campaign office, does not have a DG, does not have people. Edo State has a full cadre of army. They appointed people from Edo North to Edo South. How will we use money that's supposed to be meant for our development? Money that was taken from the people, they didn't work new money. They collected money from fuel subsidy, collected money from education tariff, collected money, squeezed the people dry, took the money, want to in an attempt to give it to government to provide succor. Okpebholo and the Edo State government will now stand on the way, hook the money for coming in, and put their cronies and local government. It's too bad, it's pitiable, it's irritating, it's nauseating. If we do not act, we will just be here, our money will be siphoned, will be lost to the streets. I know everybody will want to defend the government they are in. People who want to fall into the good book of Okpebholo will come out and defend, oh, local government is doing well. If you go to my own local government, it's not like New York. We are developing well. We have built school. All of those ones will pass. Those ones will pass.
You seem to suggest that our common patrimony, our treasury, is not in good hands. Is it
not obvious?
Was it in good hands at the time of Godwin Obaseki?
In the time of Godwin Obaseki, there are projects that you can cause. Today, everybody is shouting Godwin Obaseki, because it is the project of Godwin Obaseki that Monday Okpebholo is still working on. He's working on what Obaseki has worked on. We talk about from MOA, from the ICT up, from all the projects that Obaseki did, from the modular refinery and power plant. But Okpebholo has not done anything. All Monday has been doing so far is buying.
Not so quick to say that, because it's just 1 year in office.
1 year, when people say that thing, it gets me very, very angry. Because the only 1 year Okpebholo we have in these 4 years that does not have political incursion is this first 1 year. Because when we get to 2026 now, all Okpebholo we're doing is 2027 election. We'll get to 2027, all Okpebholo we're doing is his own election 2028. Okpebholo will not have any time to pay attention to governance outside this first 1 year. If it does not put anything substantive in this 1 year, forget it. Edo State is gone.
I totally disagree with that.
React to that.
First of all, let me correct the impression. I don't think we have to be emotional here. For him to have said that I was being kicked out of office, no, that's not true. In each of these local government that was conducted, I think 59 wards. Sorry, 59 units.
Well, your position then was what?
I'm coming. I was the chief press secretary to one local government as a few months ago.
CPS.
Yes, CPS. Now, most of this position was being declared vacant, and some of these councillors resigned out of their selfish interest. Just like already, for example, how can you be elected as a councillor to represent your ward and you are following your party leaders, which was the past administration? They all travel. Some travel to Lagos State, some travel to Bayelsa, some travel to Delta State to be able to benefit from their own self, from their leaders, and leaving the dividends of democracy for your people as a councillor representing your ward. That was wrong, and that was what the House of Assembly saw and declared as vacant for Edo State to conduct election to represent the dividends of democracy back to the people in the ward level. And I feel they have been emotional by Okpebholo's shine syndrome. They have just been affected. You understand? So now, let's quickly move on to when he said, I totally disagree with him. When he said, Okpebholo 1 year in office have not known new things. Now let me ask him a question.
That he was working on the projects of the former administration.
And that is totally lie.
Destroying the project is not working. He
didn't destroy any project. No,
destroying it. That is destroying the project.
He didn't destroy any project. Rather, Okpebholo is building more. Now let me run through.
Like the flyover.
Under the past, no, not just the flyover. Under the past administration of Godwin Obaseki, if you can't go through Okpebholo Road, you can't go through Saple Road, you can't go through the Benin Interjunction
federal roads, all federal roads is
back to this what's it called? Back to Oluku flyover here. Now, when Monday Okpebholo came, in the past administration, where we see in all Federal Road, you see a signpost that carry, this is Federal Road, this is Federal Road. And that was very bad. But in this present administration by Senator Monday Okpebholo, he says, no, we cannot leave Edo people to be suffering.
Yeah.
This road should be fixed by Edo State money, and if there's possibility for the federal government to relocate.
I understand. Are they good now?
I'm coming for
Are they good now? You said you nearly died in traffic this morning.
He has the floor. Dennis has the floor.
I still have the floor. Benin Sapler is a good case study of Senator Monday Okpebholo transformation in terms of infrastructure. Now, under 1 year in office, Senator Monday has approved 2 flyovers in Benin, a project that never been witnessed since 1999.
All right, thank you.
So now, most of these projects, first of all,
you are running off in 10 seconds.
I'm coming. It's a failure on the part of the past administration to compare a 8 years administration to a year of to administration of 365 days.
Of 1 year.
Failure.
I was coming there.
How can you be comparing a 8 years administration with a 1 year administration?
All right.
Okpebholo have done what 8 years administration have not done. And in the next couple of years, I promised Edo people that the dividends of democracy that Edo people will witness in the next couple of years.
Are you promising on behalf of the government?
Yes, of course.
But government does not know. It doesn't have Okpebholo's phone number.
I don't have to have his number. But when you see the dividends of democracy,
So if the promises are not met, the people, Edo people will come for you. Why don't you just leave the promise for the
No, I
government?
can't leave the promise for the governor to mention.
He has made a lot of promises.
Yes, of course, and he's achieving it.
Okay.
In the first year of office,
All right.
Okpebholo, as at November,
All right,
Okpebholo
we'll see to that.
approved
We see to that. Don't forget again the election year that he spoke about.
We'll get to that.
Seems to be real
course
because
we'll
in
get
the
to
time
that.
of election year, there seems not to be
No,
anything
governors
done
will
in
be
government.
holiday.
No, of course.
Well, let's get to you, Ahmed Mamadou. In 1 minute, please, can you round off?
We've seen it's only the man that has had 2 wives that can compare which relationship is better. We've seen the past administration and we've seen the administration of Monday Okpebholo. What we need to do is to keep on encouraging him to keep on with his giant strides. You cannot compare darkness and daylight. We have come into daylight and we'll never go back into darkness. We want accountability. We want leaders that feel that they are servants. The days of verbosity and PowerPoint governance is all gone. All those long stories of Edo Best that is actually the worst, Moa that doesn't belong to Edo people, a hotel that is for elites and poor people, and all those things are gone. Now we are looking forward to when we have tractors, when we have people that are trying to build an agrarian base in Edo State, and we will not go back to the past.
We can take on this segment. Big thanks for taking our time for disturbing your sleep a little bit to be part of the show. And of course, big thanks to you, Dennis, Osaro Dennis, or your Mari, for taking our time to be part of this. And of course, Shedrack.
Thank you very
in 10
much.
seconds.
Thank you very much.
Edo people should be hopeful because there are things that ought to be theirs that they have not seen. And the People's Democratic Party and we leaders of the opposition are going to touch the light and nudge them in doing the right thing. I don't know Monday Okpebholo, but I believe Monday Okpebholo can do better when they get cornered to do the right thing.
All right.